threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
This will be the best episode.
This is a very weird episode. I can't do it. I was trying to practice like a German accent. I'm like, I can't do it.
If I do
Let's go into like
if I do like the
Russian.
Mad Hitler accent, sometimes I can do it, but it's a little overblown.
It's hard.
So I try not to.
I ain't gonna do it.
I try to limit my
tough.
Hitler voice
Yeah,
to once a week.
I don't really send that one out much.
No, once a week.
Yeah.
Cameron, what are we doing today?
We're gonna talk about some super weird stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I know you read the title already, and
Maybe
you
they
might
didn't.
be a little, a little worried about what
Maybe
we're gonna
people
talk
are
about.
doing like podcast roulette where they just like don't even look at it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's a
Who
good
knows?
idea.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm just like, when you put in your earbuds and all of a sudden just starts playing an episode of
Yeah.
something, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go
This
with
is
it.
what I'm listening
Yeah,
to.
so
yeah.
maybe that's what's happening right now. But we're
Could
going
be.
to talk about the Nazis
Mm-hmm.
and their obsession with occultism and just all the weirdness around it.
Yeah.
They were into so much weird stuff.
Yeah, they had some weird
Their
fetishes.
parents were not proud of many of the things that they got into.
No, man.
So,
Weird stuff.
Yeah, we've mentioned them so many times on like some of the other theories in Antarctica and stuff. We're just going to dive into some of the weird, friggin' way weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you first about something that's not weird, and it's essential, and you all need it. I'm going to jump right to it. It's called the Prepper's Medical Handbook. And the reason you need this is because it is written by a wilderness medicine expert, a survivalist, and a mother effing MD.
Most certainly not a Nazi.
No. And he seriously breaks this book down into very easy to read medical prepping stuff that you will find very useful. How to build your FAC. How to take care of sore tongue. I don't know if that's in there.
I got a sore tongue.
That's been like on my schedule so much
Has
this
it?
week. Yeah, I don't know what's
My
going
tongue
on.
hurts?
I've been my tongue. Been sore for 7 months. But
That's weird.
But no, this is a super good medical handbook to have in your bug out bag or just your at home kit to help you get through the apocalypse with just your minimal medical knowledge.
Sure.
This is the way to do it. So go to preppersmedicalhandbook.com, pick you up a copy, or just go to Amazon. It's usually the easiest.
Yeah.
The Prepper's Medical Handbook.
Get it, boy.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so today we're talking about Nazis, occultism, like weirdness. They did so much weird stuff, man.
We knew we've learned of all the really horrible, but they got into some real dark stuff.
Yeah, they were
Not
doing
that the
some
other stuff wasn't.
sound to say there was some other dark stuff we won't talk about today, but this is like
They were into like wizards and warriors and
playing D&D like in the
these
castle
guys
basement.
were totally into magic.
Yeah, it's really weird. So
I had no idea.
So we just decided we're gonna go through all the weird stuff. They like tried to use some of this stuff to like further the Hitler
They didn't want to
Nazi cause.
They didn't want to be done.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna last for 1,000 years because we're gonna use magic.
Screw this, like conquering a country by country. We're just gonna conquer the
Rule
entire universe.
Yeah, they really thought that they. So crazy.
So we're gonna talk about some of that stuff, and like some of this is not necessarily like a cult, but a lot of it kind of lands into that sort of category of weirdness. So
it is weird.
Yeah. So let's start with the Nazis and like UFOs.
UFOs are fun.
Oh my gosh, I love them.
And so I like this portion. Was a little less weird because we all know that they were doing tons of engineering and research. Rocket engines and stuff came about at this time. The V2 rockets, V1. So there was a lot of still a lot of conspiracy around what they actually developed and used and studied, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Okay.
Yeah.
German UFO theories describe supposedly successful attempts to develop advanced aircraft or spacecraft during World War II, further asserting that the post-war survival of these craft in secret underground bases in Antarctica, South America, United States. How you even have them backdoor vernal?
Yeah.
You never know.
Backdoor Vernal sounds like a nice bar here.
That sounds like
the end of town.
that sounds like a hunting film. Backdoor vernal.
Backdoor Vernal.
So, anyways, here are some of the sightings, projects, and accounts from various sources.
Okay.
the Die Glocke.
Die Glock.
Or the bell.
Yeah, the bell. I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, I like this. This one's like my favorite. It has the coolest looking shape.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a bell.
Looks like a bell.
Shaped flying saucer thing.
Yeah.
It was purported top secret Nazi scientific technology. As a top secret Nazi scientific technological device.
Yeah.
Secret weapon. The Wunderwaffe.
The
Wunderwaffe.
It's a Wunderwaffe.
Wunderwaffe is so fly.
It's a Wunderwaffe going sky.
A Wunderwaffe, it flies.
Die Glock Wunderwaffe.
First described by Polish journalist and author Igor
Witwicki.
In Prada o Wunderwaffe. It was later popularized by military journalist and author Nick Cook.
That's easier to say.
Yeah. So mainstream reviewers have criticized claims about the Die Glocke as being pseudoscientific, recycled rumors, and hoax. The Die Glocke and other alleged Nazi miracle weapons have been dramatized in video games, television shows, and novels. However, many skeptics have doubted that such a Bell UFO was actually designed or ever built.
Mm-hmm.
There's other reports of it being stolen information by the U.S.
Sure.
From the Nazis that they had this cool looking bell-shaped UFO.
Die
Glocke. It flies so well.
Wunderwaffe.
Wunderwaffe.
It's a Wunderwaffe.
It's such a Wunderwaffe. Then there's just the Morning of Magicians. So it was a 1960 book by Louise Pauwels and Jacques Bézier. I don't know. Made many spectacular claims about the Vril Society of Berlin. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Other claims along with the state society have been made contact with alien race and dedicated itself to creating spacecraft to reach the aliens. So this is a book that kind of proposed and supposedly took some facts about the Nazi Party and
I'd like to read this book.
I know this one actually looks pretty interesting.
Wonder if you can find it.
With the Nazi defeat, the society allegedly retreated to the base in Antarctica and vanished into the Hollow Earth to meet up with the leaders of an advanced race inhabiting the inner Earth. So the Nazis found it, and they took all their stuff, and the Thule Society, like Tooele, how it should be spelled.
No, they make the roof racks, right?
Right. There's so many different ways that everybody says it's pronounced.
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
I'm going with the roof rack way.
Roof rack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so that's one that was kind of used, some claims of the Nazis taking all their information and storing it down in Antarctica. A nice hangar.
Nice.
We've talked about that too.
We did talk about that.
Ernest Zundel, German Holocaust denier, started Samizdat Publishers in the 1970s. He initially catered to the ufology community, which was then at its peak of public acceptance. His books claimed that flying saucers were Nazi secret weapons launched from an underground base in Antarctica. So he went off with that too.
Kind of the same thing.
Two different things. But some that interviewed him claims that he privately admitted it was deliberate hoax to build publicity for his little book club there, the publishers. Although he still defends it as late as 2022. He said, no.
He's still alive?
It's real. I don't know. 2002?
Oh, 2002. I thought you said 2022.
I think I did, but he probably did.
He probably did now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miguel Serrano, he wrote a book. He's a Chilean diplomat and Nazi sympathizer. Published El Cordón Dorado. Hitlerism is esoterico. So the golden thread, esoteric Hitlerism. Sounds like a good book to read down in Chile.
Oh, yeah, you gotta.
In which he claimed Adolf Hitler was an avatar of Vishnu and was at the time communing with the gods in an underground Antarctic base in New Swabia.
This underground
so weird.
Antarctic
so many
base.
of those talk about that.
Yeah.
He predicted that Hitler would lead a fleet of UFOs from the base to establish the Fourth Reich. In popular culture, this alleged UFO fleet is referred to as the Nazi Flying Saucers of Antarctica. That's a pretty basic name.
Yeah, that's what we're going to call it, I think.
I am a commander of the Nazi Flying Saucers of Antarctica.
Yeah, hello.
So these are just some different reports and sightings during the time before, during, and after World War II. One of them is called Ghost Rockets.
Oh,
that's pretty simple.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought I saw him, but I didn't see him.
I got a ghost drink right here.
Ghost rockets were rocket or missile-shaped, unidentified flying objects sighted in 1946, mostly in Sweden and nearby countries like Finland.
1946, so this is after the war?
Yeah, there'd been some reports before in the 30s too, but most of the reports came around this time. The first reports of ghost rockets were made on February 26, 1946 by Finnish observers. About 2,000 sightings were logged between May and December 1946.
2,000?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
on
a
the
lot.
money.
Jeez.
With peaks on and around between 9 and 11 of August, which is
9/11.
also... That's like when the peak preceded meteor shower. So a lot of people are like, that's what's going on.
Idiots don't know a ghost rocket from a meteor.
Don't know meteors.
Don't know their ass from their elbow.
But others are like, no, the way that they moved and, they went up and the meteor's coming down.
I've never seen a meteor move that way.
So yeah, they're like, no, that's bogus to claim that was... And others believe that it was captured V1, V2 testing by the Soviets, which is probably what was going on.
Yeah, they probably had a lot of those.
Just shooting a bunch of stuff off. And then the other one is flying discs.
Sure.
Just super basic.
Yeah.
Similar sentiments regarding German technology resurfaced during 1947 flying disc craze after Kenneth Arnold's widely reported close encounter with 9 crescent-shaped objects moving at high velocity.
I don't know about it. 1,800 miles an hour.
Yeah, I get to that. There's actually a part in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When World War II ended, the Germans had several radical types of aircraft and guided missiles under development.
Radical.
Yeah.
That's radical.
The majority were in most preliminary stages, probably just on paper.
We drew a picture of it. Hitler, what do you think?
But they were the only known craft that could even approach the performance of objects reported by UFO
The
surveys.
one I drew here can go 8 million miles an hour. What do you think, Hitler?
Seriously. Yeah. You like that one?
Yeah. What do you think?
There's no windows yet. I haven't drawn those in.
I haven't even drawn a guy to drive it yet. I don't know.
Where's this at? Well,
it's Antarctica.
I haven't drawn scenery around some trees. Maybe a little tree here.
It's just funny.
I know.
Oh, man.
It's super fast. Let me tell you what I think it's going to do.
This ain't fast.
In 1953, when Avro Canada, I don't know what that is, announced that it was developing the VZ9AV Avro car, which is a nice RC car that goes about
what is it?
A circular jet aircraft with an estimated speed of 1,500 miles per hour.
A circular jet?
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know. I thought all jets were like cylindrical.
Can only fly in circles.
It just spins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually tied to the ground with a chain, so it just stays in one place. German engineer George Klein claimed that such designs had been developed during the Nazi era.
Yeah.
Klein identified 2 types of supposed German flying discs. A non-rotating disc developed in Breslau by V2 rocket engineer Richard Meith, which was captured by the Soviets.
Oh.
Yep. While Meith fled to the U.S. via France and ended up working for Avro. So I guess Avro's like
developer.
Aviation company, yeah. A disc developed by Rudolf Schreiber and Klaus Habermal at Prague, which consisted of a ring of moving turbine blades around a fixed cockpit. Now, let's just imagine for a minute.
I don't even
I
get
can't
that.
even understand this. Moving turbine blades around a fixed cockpit. Okay.
I don't know.
I guess it's like a jet, but you're sitting in the middle. Like it's almost like a jet engine spinning around in the middle.
Like a teacup type situation.
Klein claimed that he had witnessed the craft's first crew flight on 14th February 1945 when it managed to climb. This is crazy. Managed to climb to 40,000 feet in 3 minutes and attained a speed of 1,400 miles per hour in level flight.
Everybody died.
Whoa. So that's incredibly fast. Aeronautical engineer Roy Fedden remarked that the only craft that could approach the capabilities attributed to flying saucers were those being designed by Germans towards the end of the war. Fedden, who was also the chief of the technical mission to Germany for the Ministry of Aircraft Production, that's a long one, stated in 1945, "I have seen enough of their designs and production plans to realize that if they, the Germans, had managed to prolong the war for some months longer, they would have been confronted with a set of entirely new and deadly development in air warfare." Some of these engineers don't have any history of ever working anywhere with rockets. So
weird.
That he didn't say that. Sorry, I said it that way.
Okay.
But a lot of these engineers and stuff were like looked up, and they don't really have any background or any history. But
But they can draw.
They can draw real good. They know numbers and speeds. It's pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
But I just want to know, like, did you finish that book?
Yes.
So, like, those German pilots were, like, eager to get into those jets.
Right.
It's like, obviously, that's probably where it ended. Like, that was the most advanced they had.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just interesting.
That stuff they were building at the end of the war was trash, though. Like,
man.
They were just using, like, subpar materials. And, like, they were breaking down.
Those poor, man, and they were, like...
I don't know how they did.
They were like super experienced pilots getting stuck in these horribly put together.
It's like they said they could only fly them for like 3 hours at a time, and then they would have to be completely rehauled.
The gas tanks are like all the way around it. It's like you're flying a gas tank.
It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on.
So it's just kind of cool. There's a lot of this like conspiracies of like them developing it. There's no record of it. Where did the records go? Maybe the Soviets stole it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one portion of this crazy stuff, and another
That's
one
the least crazy.
That is probably the least crazy of the whole thing. So now we kind of go into the search for these artifacts. This kind of, reminds you of Indiana Jones type stuff, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Kind of cool.
The Last Crusade. This is the kind of stuff that they were talking about, and it honestly wasn't that far off. Like, it's not that.
I always wondered that.
Yeah, it's not that far off,
crazy.
Man. So let's talk about the one that they were talking about in the Last Crusade, and that would be the Holy Grail. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So much of this came from... I found this article. Yes, we got it.
We know it's down the crack somewhere.
Yeah. Much of this came from an article from the Daily Beast. It was a really cool article about this. So on the night of 10th of April, 1934, one of the 12 oak panels that comprise Jan van Eyck's famous painting, Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, was stolen from St. Bavo Cathedral in Ghent, Belgium. So this is often referred to as the Ghent altarpiece. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
That's huge, like...
Yeah, I got a picture of it right there. It's gigantic.
They were all after this, right?
Everybody wanted it.
It was like a big deal.
So
isn't it like 2 tons or 5 tons or something like that?
It is 2 tons. So it is the most frequently stolen art piece in the world.
2-ton piece? That makes sense.
That's why it's crazy. It has been burgled in its entirety or in parts at least 6 times.
Is this the picture of it? No, do you have a picture of it?
Right there. That's it.
Oh, it has all that on it?
That's the whole thing, yeah.
Holy crap. How do they steal that thing?
I don't know. That's the crazy stuff, man. Yeah, if you want to look this up, just the Ghent altarpiece, it's like the size of a barn door, basically, is what it is. And it weighs
I didn't realize it
2
had
tons.
that much on it. Like, that is pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, well, it's awesome. It's very cool. And this was one of the most desired pieces of art by the Nazis, including Hitler, and then his second in command, Göring. He was like so into this stuff. We're going to talk about him quite a bit. But so the Nazis, they had their own art theft unit. It was called the ERR. And so that
what?
So they captured it first for Hitler. So they went out there, they got it. They got it in its hiding place in the Chateau
Guess what I got for you?
Chateau de Pau in the south of France. And the Belgian government had it there for safekeeping. Obviously, it wasn't super safe. So they got it, but this is the crazy part. An emissary from Göring appropriated it from the Luftwaffe, head's massive stolen art collection. So basically, they started stealing it back and forth from each other. The Germans did.
That's so crazy.
Because Göring wanted it and Hitler wanted it.
Yeah, I knew that they were like a little...
It's so weird.
Let's see who can get it first, the longest.
Exactly.
We'll hold on to it for longer.
So Hitler got wind that the Göring had got it, and he intercepted it again. He intercepted the altarpiece, and he sent it to Castle Neuschwanstein in Bavaria. Neuschwanstein. Where it was restored and then put for storage in a salt mine. So they had those salt mines out there. They were storing a bunch of stuff in the Austrian Alps. So they had 12,000 of the most famous stolen artworks from Nazi-occupied Europe were kept in secret, destined to feature in Hitler's planned super museum. He was going to build this gigantic museum that was the size of an entire city.
He was thoughtful.
Yeah. Sounds like a great
for
idea.
Everybody.
He loves the arts, Yeah.
He
actually was a painter. He sucked, but he was a painter. And it was gonna display every important artwork in the world. So this piece actually, if you've seen The Monuments Men or read the book, they actually ended up stealing this back. This is one of the pieces that they got back. Yeah. So the altarpiece contains over 100 figures, and it's an elaborate pantheon of Catholic mysticism. At the center stands a heavenly field brimming with uniquely depicted figures around a sacrificial lamb, representative of Christ, obviously. The lamb stands upon an altar and bleeds into a chalice. So this is the Holy Grail, right? That's kind of what it's showing. So apparently Hitler was 100% convinced that this painting contained a coded map to the lost Catholic treasures.
So it wasn't just the art that they were into. They was like, there's something in here.
This is like a national treasure type situation where you got to steal the Declaration of Independence,
right?
To
and put some lemon juice
on it. And so that's what he was hoping. So he thought that this was actually going to take him to the so-called Arma Christi. And if you know this is the instruments of Christ's passion. This is the crown of thorns, the Holy Grail, and the spear of destiny. He's like, I'm going to get all of them. I'm going to get the whole set, put them on. It's like I don't know if you ever played Diablo where you got the set of armor and you had to get all the same color. That's kind of what it seems like to me.
Just sitting there dressed up, staring at the painting. There's got to be a clue here.
This is it. So Hitler believed...
This is a big clue. That was Russian.
Yeah, it was Russian. That's all right. Hitler believed that the possession of the Arma Christi would grant their owner supernatural powers.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of stealing this and getting this. It's like, we're going to get these supernatural powers.
Yep.
It's going to be friggin' awesome. So as the tide of the war turned ever more against the Nazis, Hitler, he's like, crank it up to 10, guys. We got to find this stuff. We got to get victory. So the Ahnenerbe.
Yeah, this one was tough.
It's hard to say, right?
It sounds like, I was like, oh, how does it in German? It's super hard to say.
Yeah, Ahnenerbe. I don't know. It means inheritance of the forefathers. It was a paranormal research group established by order of SS head Heinrich Himmler on July 1st, 1935. So Hitler and other top Nazi leaders, Himmler foremost among them, interest in the occult is well and widely documented. I mean, that's what we're talking about today, guys. So the Nazi Party actually began as an occult fraternity, if you didn't know that, before it morphed into a political party. Himmler's SS, basically Hitler's bodyguard, but in practice, the leading special forces of the Nazi army was wholly designed based on occult beliefs, which is really weird.
No, that's crazy.
Well, Welsberg, the castle headquarters of the SS, was the site of initiation rituals for 12 SS knights that was modeled on Arthurian legend.
Yeah.
It's like they're
King
going
Arthur.
way back. I know, it's pretty cool, though. The magical powers of runes were invoked.
Yes.
And the Ahnenerbe logo features rune-style
Somebody's getting
lettering.
so excited right now.
I know, man.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta give out my Dungeon Master guide. This is friggin' awesome.
I've been waiting to talk about this.
I mean, I think it's super interesting too.
It actually is really interesting.
But that is the logo.
It's just crazy. Men have this much power.
Yeah.
And like they had like infinite access to information.
Yep.
Because of,
Yeah.
they could do whatever they wanted
Sure.
because they were so corrupt. But I was just like, they were studying this freaking pseudoscience stuff big
Right.
time. Some more than others.
See, but they were doing like real science too.
They were.
Like he was just like so.
But they were like,
focused.
we want to take it.
We're taking
wide
wide
approach
approach.
stuff. We want to be like immortal.
Yeah. So it is pretty crazy. So the Ahnenerbe was a pseudoscientific institute, sought supernatural advantages for the Nazi war effort, but also had a propagandistic agenda to seek scientific evidence to support Nazi beliefs like the Aryan racial superiority. We're going to talk about that quite a bit today. So in 1934, there was a theft of one of the panels on this artwork. It was the Righteous Judges panel, referred to because it depicts a group of biblical wise men on there. The story goes, the Nazi propaganda minister Goebbels, along with Himmler, conceived of the idea to find the Lost Judges panel and give it as a gift to Hitler at the 10th anniversary of his assumption of power in 1943. So they investigated throughout the city of Ghent, even taking apart portions of the cathedral because some people thought it might be there. They're just like tearing stuff apart. They didn't find anything, and this guy was sent to the Eastern Front for his failure because he couldn't find the lost panel. So why would the Nazis want to locate a single stolen panel? Why did they put so much effort into it? Again, some have suggested that the coded treasure map leading to the Arma Christi was missing a key component that was hidden on the judges panel. Like that was like a really big piece of it. So in order for the map to bear fruit, it was needed. But it never kind of came to fruition, unfortunately. They didn't, as far as we know, they did not find the Holy Grail, unfortunately. But even
Maybe they did.
Apart from
Hitler's
this,
fine.
I know,
Down in Antarctica, living forever.
Exactly. Also, Himmler, the head of the SS, made a secret wartime mission to an abbey in Spain in search of what he believed was the Aryan Holy Grail. But he came to the monastery inspired by Richard Wagner's opera Parsifal, which mentions the Holy Grail could be kept in the marvelous castle of Montsevalt.
Okay.
So that's why he went there, because it was in an opera.
And they ripped through it and couldn't
But they didn't
get it.
find it. They didn't find it, unfortunately. So that was kind of the search for the Holy Grail. But again, like, it's not that far off Indiana Jones, man.
It isn't.
It's like really close.
Yeah, I never realized that. Like they really were.
They were doing
searching for these things to give them like infinite power.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's so crazy.
How about this one? This one blows my mind even more than the Holy Grail.
This was before Marvel.
Yeah, Thor's hammer. Himmler believed that another fabled artifact, Thor's hammer, could be requisitioned as a weapon by the Third Reich.
Okay.
What do you think if we got Thor's hammer? Was that German? I don't know what that was.
Something.
It was something. But no, seriously, can you imagine sitting in a meeting? It's like, we thought about this.
Those Sherman tanks ain't gonna stand up to this.
What if we got Thor's hammer? Himmler believed that the Mjolnir,
I can't remember.
I don't know how to say that. The hammer of Thor, the god of thunder from Norse mythology, was an ancient electrical weapon.
Some nerd just got super pissed that we blew that.
These are the guys.
I can't believe they called that hammer that.
This is ridiculous. They're Nazis themselves.
It was an ancient electrical weapon that, if found and restored, could knock out tanks and entire armies. You imagine Hitler out there with a Thor's hammer, just like, swinging away at tanks as they come into Berlin.
It's like, I just picture, like, getting nerdy here. Like, Lord of the Rings, very start. They're like all fighting, and it's like,
yeah,
like
that's what you picture,
Hitler
huh?
standing there with a big hammer.
Yeah,
He just cleans everything up.
Yeah. So in an outlandish letter to the Ahnenerbe, a think tank set up to give academic backing, obviously we talked about that, Himmler stated his belief that Thor's hammer was an early, highly developed war weapon of our forefathers.
Heck yeah.
For this reason, Himmler demanded that the Ahnenerbe's team should find all places in the northern Germanic Aryan culture world where an understanding of the lightning bolt, the thunderbolt, Thor's hammer, or the flying throne hammer exists.
We gotta get that son of a bee.
Yeah, I'll put my name to it.
Ain't nobody's
Get
gonna
it
stop
done.
us. Man,
So it's weird.
it's so weird.
Yeah.
So this next part, Nazi anthropology. They were in mad search for the lost civilizations, mainly to claim their superiority. That's where they came from. Like, they are of the superior race on Earth that had kind of existed with Atlantis and the Aryans.
What a crazy fascination they had with this superior race thing.
Yeah. So Himmler was pretty much the head behind all of this. Like, for example, he was adopted a range of neo-pagan ideas and believed himself to be a reincarnation of the 10th century Germanic king.
Oh, okay.
So he was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he knew he was.
You guys understand?
So I'm
a reincarnation of a king.
I'm a king here. Okay?
You guys don't understand. Give me Thor's hammer or else.
Yeah, he was like just completely out of his mind.
Sure, yeah, sounds like it.
But they really wanted to search for this. So ancient civilizations, this goes from Thule, a sort of Middle Earth full of telepathic giants and fairies, and they believed to be a very real place of origin of the Aryans.
Okay.
They believed about Atlantis and that the Aryans were tied to those too. They conducted some ridiculous research and spent a lot of money on explorations to find anything to do with this group. So around 1919, the Vril Society gave way to the Thule Society. Thule. It's pronounced something.
Thule.
Yeah. Society drew on traditions of various orders, such as the Jesuits, the Knights of Templar, the Order of the Golden Dawn, and the Sufis. Incubus.
Incubus, succubus.
Yeah. It promoted the myth of Thule, a legendary island that I was explaining, and that is the home of the master race, the original Aryans. And that is where Himmler primarily, but a lot of Germans believed that's their ancestry. So that's where they came from.
I am German.
They are Aryans.
That's my
so
people.
You're an Aryan.
That's my people.
As the legend of Atlantis, with which it is sometimes identified, the inhabitants of Thule were forced to flee from some catastrophe that destroyed the world.
Yeah, probably a meteor or something like that.
But the survivors had retained their magical powers and were hidden from the world.
Yeah.
Perhaps in secret tunnels in Tibet.
What?
Where they might be might be contacted and subsequently bestowed their powers on the Aryan descendants. That's what they were looking for. They're like, we got to find them. Anybody.
Yeah.
There's got to be like, just like in the Last Crusade. It's like there's one crusader there. They were hoping to find like one Aryan that could pass on those powers.
Give me
Gotta
those
be.
powers,
It's got to be.
boy.
So the Ahnenerbe, as Kobe kind of described that group, SS group that was created by Himmler to kind of dig for all this information from 1935 to 1945, they were composed of scholars and scientists from a broad range of academic disciplines and fostered the idea that German people were descended from the Aryan race and were racially superior to all other racial groups.
Not a great belief to hold.
And I wonder if that's just kind of what they thought anyway.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
And that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler believed that one could divide humanity into three groups: the founders of culture, the bearers of culture, and the destroyers of culture.
Ooh.
The founders of culture, in Hitler's view, were biologically distinct Aryan race who he believed and had been. They were tall, blonde, and originated from Northern Europe. He believed that
Sounds
in the
sexy.
prehistory, the Aryan race, blonde on top and bottom,
Yeah. Carpets match the drapes.
had been responsible for all significant developments in human culture. I wonder if that's why, anyway.
Okay.
Including agriculture, architecture, music, literature, and visual arts. And there are some things we didn't even go into detail on, like biofarming and all that stuff that came from what they believe was from all this knowledge from the Aryans. He believed that most modern Germans were the descendants of these Aryans and had genetically inherited the Aryans' biological superiority to other races. So he wanted to unlock that.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to find out how they could start practicing their magic.
Yeah.
It sucks that Hocus Pocus came out so late.
I know, he didn't
because they
know.
would have been totally into this.
Got to get that book.
The destroyers of culture in Hitler's views were the Jews,
Of
whom he
course.
regarded not as genetically diverse, regarded not as a genetically diverse population sharing certain cultural and religious traits as they were then widely recognized, but as a unified, biologically distinct race.
Sure.
He believed that wherever the Jews went, they just damaged and ultimately destroyed the culture surrounding them.
That's not very nice.
So they were like the anti-Aryans.
Sure.
So Hitler, he had a lot of interest in the Thule Society and spent some time with them and studying. He kind of had a little bit of a falling out because of some other reasons, but he never really let go of those ideas of believing that they were superior and connected to the Aryans. So Nazi Germany, notions of Aryanism, racial superiority underwent several metamorphoses. For a while, the USSR became the place where the Nazis tried to find what they believed to be the most convincing evidence of their own exceptionalism, which is pretty weird.
That is weird.
It's like, it's got to be over there.
Maybe it's over there.
Let's get rid of them. They said, we have nothing in common with the people who understand nationalism only as a collection of legends and myths. Now, these people are starting to conduct research on the basis of mythical cultural of the Atlanteans, Adolf Hitler said in 1936. A year after the creation of the Ahnenerbe, it was practically a whole German research institute studying occult practices and legends. So they kind of were looking in the Russia and modern day Russia now for some of these clues, but they believe too that the Atlanteans still existed and were hiding deep in caves of Tibet. So
right.
they had there's a lot of history of them down there, and 7 years in Tibet was about, they were
Never seen it.
Never seen it?
Mm-mm.
So they were hikers, and they basically get thrown in prison by the Nazis and stuff like that. But there's a lot of involvement of the Germans there, and this is why, because they were down there researching, trying to find out where the Aryan race was.
I feel like if they could have just focused on waging a war,
Oh my gosh.
they might have won.
They probably would have been more powerful. They just were everywhere.
Just like pretty scatterbrained.
Oh my
Let's try
gosh.
this. No, let's try
Yeah.
this. No, maybe
Where
let's try
is
this.
the freaking mage wand? I need it.
I need Thor's hammer right now.
So they spent in 1938, they sent a team of 5 Germans to Tibet on this search operation, and they ended up sending more. But 2 of the team's members stood out to the rest. One was Ernest Schaefer. I just wanted to bring this up because it's crazy. A gifted 28-year-old zoologist who had been in the Indian-China-Tibet border twice earlier. Schaefer had joined the SS soon after the Nazi triumph of 1933, long before Himmler became his patron for the Tibet expedition. Schaefer was crazy about hunting and loved to gather trophies in his Berlin home. On one hunting expedition, while attempting to shoot a duck from a boat he and his wife were in, he slipped when taking aim and shot his wife in the head accidentally and killed her. Sounds like an
Jeez.
accident.
I don't know what happened. I was duck hunting and she was dead.
Duck!
I said
I
duck.
told her to duck.
I don't know what's going on. She
Yeah.
don't listen. She gets a bullet in the face.
The second key man was Bruno Berger, a young anthropologist who had joined the SS in 1935. I think it's Berger or Berger.
Beggar? Begar?
Begar.
Begar. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Would take measurements of the skulls of facial details of Tibetans and make face masks, he said, especially to collect material about the proportions, origins, significance, and development of the Nordic race in the region. Weird place to go.
It seems, white
Such
Tibet.
a weird place to go. They just thought that they fled
don't
there
look
after.
like-
I know.
Aryans.
Like, I picture like this, like blonde-haired,
Yeah.
you know, blonde-haired, blonde-muffed race. That's
Exactly,
just,
yeah. Just a bunch
it's
of-
like huge and muscular.
Yeah.
Why are you going clear over there? Like short, like it just
I'm
doesn't-
thinking maybe they're over here. Short brown people.
Man, it just went, yeah. So, anyways, they sent a lot of people down there to research, and they ended up establishing. They set up a little base there, and I'll talk about that later of another portion of what they were when they were looking for the Aryans. But it's just so crazy that they looked in the U.S. Modern day Russia for history, for like you said, man, if they would have focused some of their effort on like actual building of war machine that they already had,
They
like,
might have done better.
just steamrolled everything.
Yeah.
Other things, there's dolmens. These are structures made of stone slabs with round openings in the side, are scattered around the south of Russia. I want to know more about these anyway.
Yeah.
They're really weird. The Ahnenerbe believed these were left by the Aryans or the Goths. The Ahnenerbe began the hunt for this particular trove before World War II, according to, I don't know how to say that one, Rosyjska Gazeta. Hydrologists from the secret organization decided that water from the cave under the lake Ritsa was ideally suitable for the manufacture of human blood plasma.
What?
The lake is just human blood plasma.
How do you manufacture human blood plasma?
I don't know. The Germans know.
Okay.
This is alleged to be why German mountain road experts offered their help to the USSR in the construction of the Pitsunda-Ritsa Road. The road was a strategic one.
They got to get that blood plasma water.
Yeah, seriously.
Some awesome water.
Silver, that is awesome water.
That's awesome water.
Silver canisters of the living water from Abkhazia or whatever were first transported to the sea and then on submarines to a base in Kronstadt, from which they were flown to Germany. See, just all the effort that they did with all this weird crap. They're just transporting water from a lake across the freaking globe
Or in
that
a
they
submarine.
thought could be used to make human plasma.
It doesn't make any sense.
There were even plans to build a submarine tunnel from the Sea of Ritsa, according to Ivan Bormatov, a local historian expert and senior lecturer. But the plans were disrupted by the war. So they were like
My
building all
goodness.
this. So, anyways, the Aryan race, that's where the Nazis believe they came from. They were from descendants of Atlantis and Thule, and they had all these magical powers. And they just spent tons of money and time trying to find this stuff. And I don't think
Crazy,
they
man.
found it. I
So
don't think they found it.
They believe a lot of weird ideas, obviously. When one of the weirdest, this thing is so, I don't even understand how this gained traction.
I hadn't heard of this one until we started doing that.
Yeah. It was a theory about the creation of the universe that Hitler and then other top Nazis promoted. It was called the world ice theory. Okay.
Sounds cool.
Or the glacial cosmology. This has been obviously discredited, but it was developed by Austrian engineer and inventor Hans Horbiger.
Hans Christian Andersen.
Yeah, fine Christian name. In a 1912 book, he essentially claimed that ice is the basic element in all cosmic events. Okay. In fact, ice moons, ice planets, and also global ether, which is also made of ice, control the development of the universe.
Okay.
Okay. One day in 1894,
That's why I get an ice machine in my fridges.
Horbiger was looking at the moon. Okay. He's looking at it. He's outside, just like gazing up at the moon. And suddenly he hypothesized that it was made of ice.
This is a big ice ball?
Yeah. He's like, what else could account for its brightness and its round shape? That was his what he was thinking.
So shiny.
I mean, think about it. It's in the sky. It's round. It's
It'd be
bright.
sweet if it was big old ice. Like, it would look prettier.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. So later he had a dream where he was floating in space while he was staring at a swinging pendulum, which grew longer until it broke off. Okay, I knew that Newton had been wrong, and that
Just dang fool.
and that the sun's gravitational pull ceases to exist at 3 times the distance of Neptune. Okay, there's no more gravity after that.
It's kind of good to see that there were wackos then.
I know.
We have
Still
wackos
got
today
wackos
of
today.
like flat earthers and all that.
The gist of their idea was that the solar system was born of a gigantic star into which had crashed another star which was dead, but it was filled with water. Okay. The resulting explosion threw the smaller star's bits all over interstellar space, where water condensation froze them into enormous blocks of ice.
Balls?
Blocks of ice. A ring
So
of.
wouldn't the moon just be a big square?
I don't know. Yeah. They weren't in like an ice cube tray. Okay.
Maybe it was.
A ring of such blocks created what we know as the Milky Way, as well as other solar systems. The large outer planets of our solar system are that size because they swallowed a large number of ice blocks, says the theory. The inner planets like Earth haven't consumed as much ice, but get pummeled by ice in the form
I
of
just want
meteors.
some ice water right now.
I know, I'm getting thirsty.
All that talk
Yeah.
about ice.
The theory
He
also...
was just freaking thirsty.
Oh, you know, I just wanted some
In this
cold
hot
water.
summer, he's like, I bet that's all ice.
This Berlin summer is so...
It needs the ice.
Just a little bit of ice in my scotch, it would be so much better. That's probably Austrian. I can't do a German accent.
Same diff.
The theory also... Same diff. No duh. No doy. Okay.
Same diff.
The theory also says that our current moon is not the first one that we've had. It's just moon 2.0. Okay. In fact, several other ones made of ice, of course, were destroyed by crashing into the earth. They just break into the earth and they break apart and we get a new one later on. Okay. The world ice.
In other words, snowstorms.
Yeah. The world ice theory also incorporated the mythical continent of Atlantis into its lore. Hans Horbiger believed that German ancestors once lived in Atlantis.
Of course.
That is until one of the ice moons crashed to the surface and destroyed it, causing the Teutonic people to flee to save their lives.
It's the best way to say that. It was there, but then it was destroyed by friggin' ice.
Stupid ice moon. Offshoot ideas.
Stupid ice moon.
Stupid ice moon. Get to Atlantis.
Is the ice moon coming?
Offshoot ideas by Horbinger's followers actually linked the flood described in the Bible and Atlantis' supposed existence and destruction to the fall of prior moons.
That makes sense.
The moons came down and
Moses,
melted.
Yeah. Or not Moses.
Noah.
Noah
That was
didn't mention anything about ice floating around.
No, because it melted.
Can't
Once
imagine
the moon
all
hit.
of it melts.
Yeah. When someone criticized his ideas, for example, stating that they don't make sense mathematically, I go, we could do the math on this, buddy, and it ain't coming out right. Horbinger responded with such statements as, calculation can only lead to you astray. Okay? That's what he says.
That's good. That's a good response.
If it's the,
Same response he uses at home and
Yeah.
everything. Honey, you need to go out and then find a job. Calculations will lead
can
you
only
us-
lead you astray. If any visual
We need a
evidence...
budget. Calculations.
If any visual evidence was presented against his theory, the Austrian engineer dismissed such pictures, saying they were faked by reactionary astronomers. Fake news.
Fake.
Fake. These calculations will only lead you astray, okay? One Austrian astronomer, Edmund Weiss, pointed out that the same method used by Horbinger could also prove that the universe consisted of olive oil. All right.
Oh, yes.
You know, so
At least it's healthy oil.
that's the only one. So, like, it don't make no sense, Hans. Come on, buddy. While the ideas didn't find immediate acceptance, his efforts after World War I to publicize their theory eventually paid off. He created a whole movement promoting the ice world vision through societies, public lectures, movies, radio programs, magazines, podcasts, and novels. No, didn't do podcasts. They didn't have them back then. Can you imagine?
Podcast.
Ice
Thank
World
you for the
Tour.
first podcast.
Welcome to Icefield Series Episode 2. We will be talking about the alien race in Antarctica. One of the early...
What's from my sponsor? Heil Hitler. The SS is a very delightful thing to join.
Would you like to give your email address for the SS? One of the early supporters of the world ice theory was Houston Stewart Chamberlain.
Oh,
Hello, I'm Houston Stewart Chamberlain. I'm an early supporter of world ice theory. He was also a leading theorist of the developing National Socialist Party, the Nazi Party. After his death in 1931, Horbinger's death, his followers decided to line up their views even more with National Socialism.
National Socialism.
The ice world theory became the German antithesis to the Jewish physics, and specifically to the theory of relativity developed by Einstein. That dude didn't know what he was saying. It's all ice, Albert. Okay? I don't know what you're talking about, the theory of relativity and whatnot.
You fool.
It don't make no sense.
The calculation just leads you astray.
The calculations will just lead you astray, Albert. Supporters of the theory were known to say such thing as, our Nordic ancestors grew strong in ice and snow. Belief in the cosmic ice is consequently the natural heritage of Nordic man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aryan.
Hitler himself became a big proponent of the world ice theory. In fact, he planned to build a planetarium in Linz where a whole floor would be dedicated to the theory.
Cool.
Entire floor. It was been known to suggest that the world ice theory would soon replace Christianity.
Almost got there.
Yeah.
Dang.
But not quite.
I don't know how it didn't.
So anyways, that was the world ice theory.
That's cool.
Pretty nutty.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. If you got a block of ice, you can keep your nutrient survival cold. Okay? Nutrient survival is made with real ingredients. Don't think they use any ice. Made in America to keep Americans healthy, strong, and alert. Perfect for today, ready for anything ahead. From hearty, delicious entrees and nutrient-dense snacks to immunity-boosting drinks and strength-building shakes, each with 40 essential nutrients available in handy singles, daily use pantry packs, durable cans, and 3 to 90-day survival kits, keeping your world safe and your body in peak condition. This isn't your everyday cheap, empty calorie, bland food storage. This stuff actually has nutritional value and taste delicious. Check out their
crunch granola.
Yeah, check out
World Ice Berry.
Sorry. Check out their new NREs, Nutrition Ready to Eat. They're awesome. Head over to nutrientsurvival.com. Use our code CASUALPREPPERS. 10% off your entire order.
You got such good options.
This is a wonderful deal.
This is very good.
It's a wonderful.
The calculations will lead you astray.
Just go. Do not calculate. Just get directly to the website.
The only calculation is put in cash purpose. Yeah. Witches, werewolves, and vampires.
Oh, now we're getting to
They had some belief
stuff.
in those
Did they?
as well.
That's awesome.
So I like the witches one's probably my favorite one. Let's talk about that. During the 1930s, a team of 17 SS officers worked secretly for a unit called the Special Simon H.
Okay.
Preparation H team. Unit H for Hexen or witches. Ooh. So they couldn't say that.
Got to say H.
Carrying out the project was ordered directly by Himmler, the head of the SS, and overseen by SS officer Rudolf Levin. As Harrington notes, the special group, which consists mainly of young men in their 20s, plowed daily through stacks of execution reports sent in from around the country, carefully tabulating the essentials on note cards specially designed for this purpose.
That sounds like a wonderful job.
We're going to find all the executions of these witches.
At the note cards.
But why did they
about
do
the
this?
witches. I don't know.
You want to know why?
Sure.
Because they were actually going to use the witchcraft to sustain Nazis for over 1,000 years.
But wait, where are they getting this witchcraft?
They're going through all the witch hunts
All
the documents of executions because people that were accused of being witches.
Oh, okay.
So they're going through, they're compiling all this information because they wanted to figure out what exactly these witches could do.
Zwitch,
Because
witch is witch.
Himmler believed heavily that the witch genes were passed down and could be used to Germany's advantage.
We're going to breed some witches.
Yeah. He's like, all right, some of these theories aren't working out. I'm going to go find all the witch hunts and find out who was maybe left that we could get some witch chance. He actually incorporated some like witch dances and stuff into the SS that he believed was like giving them some immunity and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That
Find
guy,
me 17 boys. We're
they
going
let
to
that guy
breed
control
witches.
so much. So
Going to breed the witches.
Bitches. This is a purebred witch.
That witch right there is a pure bad.
Yes. Anyways, that's crazy. They really believed
You
in
son of
witches,
a
and they
bitch.
were just compiling all this useless information about the execution so that they could use their power.
What if those witch note cards are hanging around somewhere? Wouldn't that be awesome to have?
Yeah. Sounds like they made some specific note cards for that.
Pretty cool.
Those were called dungeons and
Character sheets for D&D.
yeah, exactly.
That's what they were.
That's why we got those.
Yeah.
They also had fear and belief of vampires.
They
Nazis leaders genuinely viewed the Jews as an omnipotent supernatural monsters responsible for the devastation of the Second World War,
What?
as well as nearly every crime throughout history.
Of course, yeah.
In Mein Kampf, Hitler made multiple references to Jews as vampires, bloodsuckers, and is it spongers?
Spongers?
That's what I was thinking. Stating that wherever he appears, the host people dies out after a shorter or longer period.
Might be
I don't
short,
know if
might
he
be
was
long.
specifically thinking that
Like
they
they're
were vampires.
vampires.
More so, they were just like sucking life
Sure.
out of the culture and people. So, but interesting.
Very.
Werewolves. This one,
I love werewolves.
this one's kind of the same way. It's almost like using folklore as a power to give people like a motivation. He basically research institutes both Himmler and influential Nazi ideology. Alfred Rosenberg produced reports suggesting that the incarnation of the werewolf runs through werewolf runs. That's coming out of me. Werewolf run.
Isn't there a movie?
Yeah. Incarnation of the werewolf runs through Aryan and German fairy tales and naming conventions.
Okay.
And was one of the Germanic characters of the German racial spirit. There was no connection between the werewolf and Slavic vampire, wrote the Nazi folklorist Lutz Mackensen. Vampires linked to Nazi minds with the Jews were evil and racially degenerate.
Of course they were.
Werewolves, on the other hand, belonged to that rare group of heroes who could change into animals and could never serve the devil. As the dogs of God,
Dogs of God.
werewolves were forces
This sounds
for
like
good.
a Christian like dog groomer or something.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like something from
We're the dogs of God.
what is it? Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type of thing.
Sure.
The dogs of God. Werewolves were forces for good, defending the people against evil and protecting their souls. An argument made by one of Alfred Rosenberg's subordinates in a dissertation. So, they believed the werewolves were good, so they kind of used that a lot. Actually, if you look at all the Germans' names of like military command, they use wolf a lot.
They do, yeah.
Because they believed that that was a good thing.
Didn't he have like
They
a
were-
castle or something that was
Wolfenstein.
Like, well, Wolfenstein. No, yeah, that dude. Wasn't there like the Wolf's Den or the one of Hitler's
Yeah, it
castles?
was. I thought I put it in here, but I didn't. But yeah, so they believed it was sacred and it was like dogs of God. So
yeah, for sure.
anyways, national radio broadcast urged German civilians to join the werewolf movement. That means basically kind of like the werewolf movement was basically the Wolverines.
Oh, it's like guerrilla
So people
warfare.
were like, exactly. So they were like, even one female broadcaster proclaimed, "I am so savage. I am so savage. I am filled with rage.
I'm filled with rage.
Lily the werewolf is
I'm
my
out
name.
of my mind with anger.
I bite, I eat. I am not tame. Werewolf teeth bite the enemy." So they kind of use that as like a little drive to fend off any opposing Allied forces. During the final months of the war, many Nazis and many ordinary Germans wanted to believe that death was not permanent.
Sure.
That fantasy was reality, that a magical priest such as Hitler or perhaps some new prophet might rescue them from annihilation. In this way, the regime's fanciful preoccupations with miracle weapons, partisan werewolves, vampires, rituals, self-immolation functioned as a form of therapy for Germans suffering material and psychological distress. That's what they kind of think. Maybe they were just like desperate of the end.
Sure.
They didn't want to die. They wanted to find a way to succeed. So anyway, it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. Here's is something else that's interesting. So there was a secret office in Berlin.
There's a lot of them.
Okay, this one was another one. Okay, on the door it said SP. What do you think that stood for? Let me tell you. They stood for sidereal pendulum. And inside, Nazi psychics were using magical pendulums to find warships. Okay.
They had their own little office.
They had their whole office.
No, don't go in that door. The bathroom's down the hall.
Yeah, that's the SPs over there. Okay. The Nazis started the project because they were convinced that the British already had a team of psychics spying on them. Right. A Nazi report said that reliable sources had confirmed that the British had established an institute where, by help of using pendulums, the positions of German warships and most of all U-boats were investigated. They were using pendulums, okay? In reality, the British had just cracked Enigma and they were listing on their coded messages.
Fire,
That's
splash.
100% what they were doing. Like, they just had it, and they were psychics. They were just...
Like over the sea? Like over a map?
Over a map.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. So they bought...
It does, though.
It does.
They're pendulums.
Yeah. They bought into the psychic theory and tried to build a team of their own. Just put an ad in the paper. Need some pendulum psychics. $1.50 an hour.
Friend.
Looking for friends who likes pendulums. Things really got underway when a man named Ludwig Stanek hovered a pendulum over a map to locate a downed German battleship, and it was actually right. It worked.
One and done.
It was actually probably a fluke.
Yeah.
But like the Nazis were so thrilled and set up a whole team, and they did nothing but dangle pendulums over maps trying to find the enemies.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
so there you go.
If it works once, it'll always work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This one's awesome too.
Okay.
Astrologer battle.
Oh, yeah.
Astrologers warned Hitler, so Britain hired one to counter it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are the Germans superstitious here and kind of crazy, the British didn't look so hot.
Yeah,
either.
they're getting into it as well.
A few days before an assassin tried to kill Hitler at the Munich beer hall, a Swiss astrologer tried to warn Hitler that his life was in danger. His name was Karl Ernst Kraft, not the founder of the cheese company.
The cheese.
And at the start of November 1939, he wrote a letter to his friend, Dr. Heinrich Fessel, who worked for Heinrich Himmler. Hitler would be in danger, Kraft warned, between November 8th and November 10th, 2000. It's like, I was somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Which could have been easy to say any week of the time Hitler lived. Kraft said Hitler should cancel every public appearance. Dr. Fessel didn't pass the message on at first, but when the bomb went off, he rushed over to tell Himmler. Himmler took it seriously.
Well, it's like, oh, now you tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have just made that up. Oh, guess what? Somebody told us that this was going to blow.
Yeah.
Himmler took it seriously, and the Nazi Empire hired Kraft. Kraft probably didn't do much after that for the Nazis, but there's proof that this Goebbels, how do you say that?
Goebbels, yeah.
Hired him to go over Nostradamus' predictions and find a way to present them to make it sound like Hitler was destined to win the war. But most of the things Kraft has claimed that he was Hitler's personal astrologer probably weren't true. Kraft made up enough stories about how important he was to the Nazis, though, that the British heard about it and hired an astrologer of their own to counter him. And pretty soon, the two most powerful armies in the world were in the minor fortune-telling arms race.
Jeez.
That's so crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
Jim, tell us where they're going to be next.
Yeah. They got a Kraft. We're going to get Johnson & Johnson over here. Okay?
That's so crazy. Like,
it's nuts.
The desperation. This is
again, with astrology, Himmler, according to Wilhelm Wolff, Heinrich Himmler's personal astrologer, so this is another one, Himmler didn't just hire people.
Yeah, they used a lot of those, they like those little astrologers.
With supernatural powers. He thought he could see the future himself. Himmler did. Okay? Himmler told Wolff that he never made a decision without first consulting the positions of the stars and the moons. I got to take a crap. Should I do it now or later? What do the stars look like right now?
Okay.
I'll do it now.
That stupid ice moon.
Stupid.
Up. I can't see the stars.
Ice moon's too bright tonight. I don't know. Every major command he'd given the Nazi army, he said, was based upon certain little-known moon constellations. Ironically, Himmler ended up banning astrology across Germany. But if Wolf is to be believed, he didn't ban it because it was nonsense. He banned astrology because he was afraid it was too powerful. Okay? We cannot permit others besides ourselves to occupy themselves with astrology, he said. Astrology must remain privilegium singulorum. That's like a Harry Potter saying or something. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
It does.
In the National Socialist state. And
You just made my pop bottle float.
sorry about that.
I should have
Anyways,
said it like that.
he was all about, he thought he could tell the future. He was all into astrology. So
That's
pretty nuts, huh?
Yeah, freaking astrologers, man. They know a lot.
They do. They really
Tell
do.
us the weather every day.
I went to an astrologer the other day, and he said, you got to go to off-the-grid surplus.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm like, I guess if you say so, I'm going to do it. You know, they inspire greater connection through adventure. They do that by creating extremely functional and everyday wearable products for a great price that take you off the grid. How do they do it, Cam? They simplify your clothing options so you only need one piece of clothing instead of 3 or 4. Who likes more? I like less when it comes to that department. They combine the best features from outdoor workwear and tactical into one everyday wearable package, and they've got crotch gussets for days, boys. For days. Okay?
Gotta love that crowd. Yes.
Gotta love that crowd. Gotcha.
I'm sure they consulted with an astrologer. An
Astrologer.
astrologer.
Yeah. Check out their site, offthegridsurplus.com, and get an extra 15% off with our code CASUALPREPPERS15. All the good stuff there.
Yeah, go ask your local astrologer about that.
Go tell them. Ask
So, here's another one that really spiked Himmler's interest.
Sure, yeah.
SS Karl Wilgut. I felt good.
Really good. How do you feel? Really good.
Very good.
Really good.
He had some weird ideas. German culture, he believed, had started in 228,000 BC.
Okay.
Rough estimate. Back when there were 3 suns in the sky, and giants and dwarfs roamed the earth. So funny to think, like,
3 suns?
just like the logic of it. It's
Yeah.
like, I bet there were 3 suns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You had to wear sunscreen from all angles.
Yeah.
And Jesus was German, he insisted, and his real name was Christ. Christ Kringle.
It's not Christ, it's Christ, idiots.
Sounds about the, it's it. Okay.
That's right.
He had a whole God complex himself because he told people that he was a descendant of an ancient German god king. Okay?
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about.
That's just how he got the girls. You ever going to
Is
bed
your family successful? Well, I am a descendant of a German god king, so I would say so.
You ever going to bed with a German god king descendant?
I'm the nephew of a German god king. How about that?
There's a story you're going to want to tell.
But you haven't seen something like this.
Yeah, God King's taking off his pants.
Some of the Aryans kind of passed on in some ways.
There's a nice ball down there for you. Whatever that means.
One person, though, got on board with it. He liked all the stuff that this Carl Wilgo was saying. Of course, that was him.
It's really good stuff.
Anything that was weird and like out of this world and just sounded ridiculous, Himmler's like, hire him. Part of our crew now.
Get him on the payroll.
Yes.
Pay that man.
I think if I was in that time, I'd just come up with these weird ideas. I'm like, I bet you I'll get hired.
Heck yeah.
Wilgut helped convince Himmler that he was a reincarnation of a medieval king named Henry the Fowler.
Henry the Fowler.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest name ever.
Fowler. Himmler hired Wilgut to help him with the weird mystical building project. I don't know what that is. Wilgut helped Himmler find the perfect place to build Wellsberg Castle. Wellsberg Castle.
Yeah.
His attempt to build a Nazi resurrection of Camelot.
They had like a weird, like King Arthur fascination too.
Yeah, anything, man. It's like
so odd.
any little nursery rhyme. They think that was true too.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? We're gonna make our own Humpty Dumpty castle. Okay. I don't know. I mean, like, it's just
Seriously.
it's so dumb.
Oh, Mother Goose.
Yeah. Apparently, at one point, Hitler banned supernatural wonder workers.
Which is kind of interesting.
It is interesting, but Himmler's like, F you, Hitler. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Okay.
I don't tell you what you can do.
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna do this. He was pretty sure they worked, so he hired them back.
payroll's probably,
Yeah.
he's probably bleeding money out. All the people he's hiring.
What is this category over here? I don't get it.
It's
It's just
something I'm working on.
he says it's a personal project that you're going to be very interested in at some point. Just don't worry about it. So Hitler had ordered his intelligence team to track Mussolini down, right? Because they were trying to find a man.
Yeah.
He's got to be in Italy somewhere. And they didn't have an idea where to find him.
Find me somebody. Find me anybody.
And Himmler's like, in a panic, he called up the occultists he'd thrown into prison. Okay? He promised them their freedom if you could find Mussolini. Find that.
That guy's like,
Tell
go
you.
for it.
One of the psychics declared that he had found Mussolini on an island west of Naples by swinging a pendulum over a map.
Oh, yeah. That
That's
pendulum swinging.
Classic way to find somebody.
We're all used to that pendulum swinging.
Yeah. It's still swinging, Himmler. I'll let you know when it stops. Okay.
And I'm ready.
Nobody actually listened to him. The Germans ended up finding Mussolini by intercepting radio messages, which is a better way.
Shut up. Go back to prison.
Oh, you're using radio and science. I don't care. I got pendulum over
Where's
here.
your pendulum now, boy?
Yeah. But when they finally freed Mussolini, it didn't escape Himmler's notice that one of his psychics had actually gotten the location right.
Oh, my gosh.
They found it. So secretly, Himmler, he kept his psychics on the Nazi payroll, convinced that his secret team of psychics would win him the
Freaking
war.
payroll, man.
I know.
They had so many people on that payroll.
Heinrich, we need some more food for the soldiers.
Nope, sorry.
Nah.
I just hired an astrologer this week. Can't do it.
Yeah.
But why don't you get back to work?
Get back to work.
This is interesting, too.
Okay.
Hitler hired a clairvoyant to tell the future.
Of course he did.
Yeah. In 1933, just before he became Chancellor of Germany, Hitler visited a clairvoyant named Erich John Hansen and asked him to tell his future. Hansen had caught Hitler's attention a year earlier when he published an article prophesying that Hitler would become Chancellor of Germany in 1933.
I like this guy.
There's something about this guy.
He's got something going for him. We need to talk with this guy.
Hey, put him on the payroll, huh?
Hitler.
Hitler believed Hanussen could tell the future enough to pay him for at least one private session. Although Hanussen it is believed Hitler visited him a dozen of other times off record.
Off the record.
During their session, Hanussen told Hitler that there would be a favorable rise in his future.
In my pants?
A hindrance stood in the way of my pants.
My buckles.
Hanussen promised Hitler that he would use a magical spell to ensure Hitler's success. Okay, close your eyes.
Count to 10. Say abracadabra.
Hold on.
I grab my pendulum.
Does something swinging in front of your face?
It's not my penis. It's a nice ball.
Two big ice balls.
Two big ice balls.
He would get a mandrake root from a butcher's yard and bury it in the town of Hitler's birth under the light of the full moon. Just some random, I'm going to take this root, bury it. Hitler had no idea that man was Jewish, but Hanussen definitely knew that Hitler was planning on using his race as a scapegoat.
Yep.
He figured, though, that he would charm the anti-Semitism right out of Hitler.
I got the pendulum for
Hitler
that.
just needed friendship, he insisted.
Yeah.
To learn that there were good people everywhere. Little did he know what Hitler was really capable of.
Do you want to know what Hitler should have had? His Jew detector with him. Because he hired one. Nearly as soon as World War I ended, Adolf Hitler made friends with a doctor named Wilhelm Gutberlet. Yeah, Gutberlet.
Just start beeping when you hear one, when you see one.
That's me know if the Jews are around.
Swing your pendulum.
I like it when you swing your pendulum. By day, Gutberlet was an ordinary, mild-mannered physician. But by night, he used his secret mystical powers to detect Jews.
Been there.
This is like a German comic book character.
This sounds like a
something.
Netflix series.
Gutberlet regularly boasted that he had, in the words of one Nazi, the power to sense at once the presence of any Jews. You can tell if they're around. Okay. He would dangle a pendulum.
I knew it. How much?
I got to get me a German pendulum.
Yeah, how much pendulum dangling was happening in Germany?
Probably the British people had like a pendulum company.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like funding their own war effort by selling pendulums to
Germans. Love these
Germans.
things.
I think we can beat them at their own game. Listen to me. We're going to make a lot of money on this. You would dangle a pendulum in the air and ask if someone was Jewish. If they answer yes, I know they're Jews. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, that's pretty simple, actually. Why don't we just ask them without the pendulum?
I ain't thought about just asking them.
Just make it look cool.
Yeah. Believing that the direction it spun would expose any secret Hebrews. Okay?
No, okay.
Yeah. So he was a huge part of the early Nazi movement. He was one of Hitler's first followers, and before Goebbels took over, was the man behind the Nazi Party propaganda machine. So he was like a big dude in the Nazi Party. He and Hitler bonded early over their mutual anti-Semitism. Just, buddies hanging out, talking about hatred of our entire race.
You hate them, I hate them.
Hey,
high five.
High five, buddy. Let's go watch a soccer game. But Hitler...
Let's go swing our pendulums.
Yeah, you got a pendulum? Got a brand new one.
What you got going on tonight? Come over and swing a pendulum.
Yeah. I got a bottle of scotch and 3 fresh new pendulums.
Straight from London.
Yeah. But he didn't just talk to Goebbels about racism. He used him to employ his magical Judar. This Judar was very good. The Nazis' head of foreign intelligence, Walter Schellenberg, has gone on the record saying that Hitler availed himself of Gutberlit's mystic power. And he didn't just do it once. Apparently, Hitler and Gutberlit spinning his pendulum to find Jews all the way up until his death. Yeah.
The pendulums used to identify Nazis or
Jews.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Still works, bet. I bet it does.
Are
you a Jew? I don't even need my pendulum.
No.
Well, okay.
Yes,
You're one of those secret Hebrews.
I will find out.
The Nazis also did a little searching, and the Yeti was part of this.
Oh, yeah.
As discussed before, Tibet was a huge project to research and find the origins of the remains of the Aryan race, master race that the Germans believed they were part of. Remember that? I just talked about it.
Yeah, I do.
When they left Tibet in 1939, the German expedition took everything they could get their hands on. They returned to Germany bearing pendulums, artifacts.
There's a Tibetan pendulum.
I don't know what this one will tell you. Artifacts, plants, animals, and both dead and alive, including 3 breeds of dog. I don't know why.
God dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs of God.
Yeah. Look at these werewolves we found.
That's a dog.
That's
a collie. It's not a werewolf. That's a border collie.
I don't know. Just brought it over.
Looks like a werewolf.
We have some of that plasma water.
Yeah. Give him a little lap of that. He'll turn into a werewolf. No doubt.
Hopefully princess or something. Among those specimens was something Himmler chose to believe was a yeti.
Oh, yeah.
The sad monstrosity would eventually be identified through DNA sampling as a Tibetan bear with dog's teeth replacing its own. They just wedged some stuff together. Have you seen a picture of this?
No.
It's the most ridiculous looking thing.
Oh, my gosh.
It's unlikely this yeti looked like anything Himmler would have publicized as
his master race.
Yeah, as a master race.
Yeah.
The Nazi Yeti can be seen today in Reinhold Messner Mountain Museum in northern Italy.
I'll have to go check that out.
I know.
Time I'm there.
Yeah. One Nazi man, an SS man, was sent by Hitler and Himmler to the Himalaya and search for the Yeti, he told National Geographic in 2000. The Germans were hoping that the Yeti could be the basis or missing link of the Aryan race. They think that that's what the Yeti was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Himmler was sick about this stuff. He wanted to just have it. He wanted to put him on the payroll. The theory of the glacial cosmogony, cosmic energy springs from the clash between ice and fire, and that was popular at the time that you talked about. Himmler was convinced that it proved that the divine origin of the Aryan race, the Yeti, may have been the reason for this mandate that the Tibetan data be kept secret.
Yeti's the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen.
It's so bad looking. Yeah. Himmler had some very strange ideas, and he wanted to prove that the Nordic race had come directly from the skies. They all believed in the glacial cosmology. So, He really thought that yeti could have possibly been one of the remaining Aryans just wandering about.
Sure.
So they went and searched for it, and they brought back a slapped together piece of dead animals.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
Yeah.
Money well spent.
Get at your pendulums.
Yeah. So
some people actually think that the Nazis were trying to make zombies or bring people back to life, right? See, Ahnenerbe, acting out of Himmler's fantasies and theories, both sought supernatural advantages for the Nazi war effort, but also had a propagandistic agenda to seek scientific evidence to support Nazi beliefs, right? These experiments on human subjects, many concentration camp inmates, provide horrifying facts that can lead to the theory about Nazi experiments to reanimate the dead. In April 1945, at a munitions factory depot called Bertenrode in the German region of Thuringia, 40,000 tons of ammunition were found.
Jeez.
Inside the mine, investigating American officers noticed what looked like a brick wall painted over to match the color of the mine shaft. The wall turned out to be 5 foot thick. The mortar between the bricks is not even fully hardened yet when they got in there. Breaking through with pickaxes and hammers, the officers uncovered several vaults containing a wealth of Nazi regalia, including a long
Pendulums.
Pendulums, a huge box of pendulums, Nazi banners,
Oriental trade.
yeah, filled with uniforms, hundreds of stolen artworks, tapestries, books, paintings, decorative arts. In a separate chamber, they found something even crazier: 4 monumental coffins containing the skeletons of the 17th century Prussian king Frederick the Great, Field Marshal von Hindenburg, and his wife. But that's even crazier thing is there was a 4th coffin there that was empty, and it had an engraved nameplate on it that said Adolf Hitler.
Really?
Yeah.
It was empty.
It was empty. That's kind of weird, right? So the return of the corpses to their proper resting places was a military operation called Operation Body Snatch, and it was done by the Monuments Men again. It was never clear what the Nazis planned to use these disintegrated bodies for, but conspiracy theorists offered no shortage of suggestions, obviously. In 1950, a Life magazine writer speculated that the corpses were to be concealed until some future movement when their reappearance could be timed by resurgent Nazis to fire another German generation to rise and conquer again. The specific wording "rise and conquer again" obviously kind of felt like maybe they're trying to bring people back to life or reanimate people, right? So to add to this, the gruesome experiments in which some Ahnenerbe researchers were engaged and the Nazi zombie theory gets even easier to understand. So they did experiments to see how best to bring frozen people back from the dead, or like from almost dead. This is just nuts, obviously. They'd freeze them till they were almost dead, and sometimes they would put them in a pot of, or like a big tub of almost boiling water to bring them back, which is obviously not great. But the other way they tried to bring them back, which, I mean, if this is what happens, this is not bad. They would put them in a warm bed with several women and let them have sex with them.
With the frozen body?
Yeah. Well, they're bringing the frozen body back to life. So it would be a guy, and they put him in a bed.
I'm coming out of this.
Yeah, but that was actually what they tried.
Wow.
Is to put him in a bed and let him have group sex. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
But it is what it is. So it's not a huge leap to see
I'm
a
sure
connection.
that was one of their...
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hear me out.
Let's try this. What do you think?
A bunch of women. You can freeze me.
Yeah.
Just don't completely freeze me. Then I want to see if I can
Just get me cold. I'll run around the building once and come back inside.
Let's call that a good study.
Yeah.
Success.
We got to try different levels.
I came back from the dead, right?
Right. Write that down. Get out your pendulum. Make that real, okay? Yeah. So obviously you can see like there's a connection between reanimation and a frozen dead body.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And so also in November 1944, they saw an experiment with a cocktail drug called DIX. I think that's how it's said.
Dix? I'll say it for you.
D-IX. Maybe it's D9. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's what it looks like.
Probably.
Isn't that what you spray on the yard to kill?
Yeah. It's not Tuma, it's D9. Sachsenhausen concentration camp. The D9, I'm guessing I'm going to call it that, included cocaine and a stimulant called pervitin.
Pervitine. We're going to put a little pervitine in there.
Give you a little spray of pervitine.
Take off your pants and going to give you a little shot of pervitine. Okay?
Take off your pants. This procedure take a minute. Take this pill of pervitine.
Yeah. A little bit of pervitine oil. That'll help.
And his little line of cocaine.
Yeah. The Luftwaffe, so the Nazi Air Force, had been supplied with 29 million pervitine pills
Dang.
from April to December of 1939 alone, with the pill code named OBM. Its use left the soldiers addicted, but did succeed in extending attention spans, reducing the need for sleep and food, and giving dramatic increase in stamina.
Is cocaine addictive?
I heard 18 prisoners were
I don't know why they're addicted.
were given these pills and forced to march while wearing backpacks loaded with 20 kilos of material. After taking the pills, they were able to march without rest up to 90 kilometers a day.
I want that pill.
Give me that pill. So you can kind of see how maybe this bringing people back from frozen and giving them the perv pills.
It's modern day Adderall.
Yeah, perv pill, frozen, back from the dead, you got a zombie.
Wow.
Pretty much. So anyways, that's kind of a crazy...
Give me some of that dicks.
Give me that dicks, boy.
Give me some of that dicks.
Get out your pendulum.
Yeah, I think
We're all
it is.
taking
It
a
does
dick's
look like
pill.
D9.
It's probably D9. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll go ahead and say it.
I'll go ahead and say it. It's a dick pill.
One of the articles had this at the ending, and I just thought it was kind of cool. It's like, the world for many people, perhaps most of us, still feels enchanted, full of rules and forces and possibilities outside the strict empirical norm. Often the supernatural imagination is wacky and wonderful, but in the wrong hands, it can go quick. It can quickly go to darker places. For better or worse, ours is not a world free of ghosts.
I get that.
So, I don't know. A
lot of crazy stuff, man.
Super crazy.
How
man.
crazy is that?
I mean, obviously they were crazy, but
Right.
I had no idea they were so obsessed with pendulums, man. What's the deal?
I got to give me a German pendulum. It was my ancestors.
Pendulums.
Yeah. Before we go, I do want to talk about the latest tack pack that we just received. Good stuff, as always.
Cool shirt.
Got shirts and
There you
whatnot.
go.
First item is the Gerber Arm Bar Slim Drive Tool. Pretty cool little...
I thought it was a whistle when I first
It's
got it
not
out.
a whistle.
Did you look at it?
I did look at
It
it.
looked like a whistle, see?
It kind of does look like a whistle, huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
There's no way you're getting that off there.
Nope, I'm staying there forever. The Atwood Ready Rope Tool. So that gets you some good paracord, right?
Look at all that.
Yeah.
Look at all that.
Then we got the
A lot
My...
on there. How many feet?
I don't know.
7,000?
Yeah,
100 feet.
Think about how many pendulums you could put on that. My Ambi-Vice t-shirt.
That's pretty good.
Pretty cool, huh? The Squatch Rope Fire
Upside
Starter.
down.
Upside down.
Squatch rope.
Squatch Rope. It will start the fire in your knickers. Then we've got the Poly Striker tool.
There's
and
the
then-
polystriker.
And then we got the Blue Hedgehog with a full kit sticker. Don't want to say
These are
something.
inappropriate.
Inappropriate stickers.
That's
whatever.
cool.
Yeah. Anyways, use our code CASUALPREPPERS. You can get you one of them.
There you go.
All right. Anything else, Cameron?
No. I'm going to go get me a pendulum.
All right. Adios. Stay survived.